Right.
And this.
And all these things, which all involve giving money to Free Speech TV. Freespeech.org now. Do it now. We love you, Free Speech TV. You know, I did think it was interesting. I'm sure you saw that, Michael, that, some very prominent liberals like Al Franken came out yesterday in support of Hillary. Because, I just wonder if, when you're in the Senate and you see the disarray that Ted Cruz has just put the Republican Party in and said to apologize, I think that, there's a lot of people that don't want the Democrats to somehow put themselves in similar disarray when we have such, I think, an unprecedented chance here in 2016. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I still think that there's really nobody but Hillary functionally in terms of winning the White House. I mean, Warren, maybe, I don't know. She probably has some appeal to people in the middle of the road more than the media thinks, but she has some weaknesses. She hasn't. I care a lot about foreign policy, for example, and she hasn't shown any interest in it. And I don't know if I actually want her to be my president in foreign policy terms, because I know nothing about what she thinks yet. So
yeah, true.
She's probably the number one contender besides Hillary. But Bernie Sanders obviously is not going to be elected president. Joe Biden, none of these other. Martin O'Malley, I don't think he's really quite got it.
Yeah.
None of these other people are there at 270 electoral votes, except for Clinton.
But I think what is important, as you point out, Michael, are the ideas, and as you say, her ideas. They do potentially. A number of polls have shown that Americans, including many in the center and even some on the right, have negative views of Wall Street and would back tighter.
Stephinaie Miller.
What about my part? What about the Christmas Queen, Are you going to let all this beauty go to waste?
It is the Stephinaie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 34 minutes after the hour, 1-800-STEP-12. The phone number toll free from anywhere. Tottering toward vacation tomorrow.
A little
bit. Comedian Jason Stewart live in studio. Hour number 3 tomorrow. Frangela. And also John Fugelsang.
Yeah.
Oh, the comedy universe may implode. Fridays with Frangela and Fugelsang.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my
It's going to be the greatest show ever.
All right. Well, we haven't talked to Jackie Schechter yet.
Oh, that's true.
You don't know.
Hello world, here's the news that she's bringing. Come on, get Jackie.
Hola. Viva Obama. Good morning, Jackie Schechter.
Good morning. You guys have a lot of tote bags on set. I feel like maybe I'm getting a tote bag for Christmas.
I think you are.
Yes. And you can get your own tote bag for, is it $120?
Hang on. Oh, for God's sakes. Really?
By going to freespeech.org?
Freespeech.org. Hang on a second now. Oh, for God's sakes. Really?
Are you saying I have to buy my own tote bag?
$240 donation, Jackie. You get the Stephinaie Miller Show fleece jacket and the I'm a Stephinaie Miller Show whore bag. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk, Florida girl. So this is huge news, first of all, the opening relations with Cuba.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, what actually happens in practice. Growing up in Miami, obviously you heard a lot of people say, I would go back if it were, so it'll be interesting to see if anybody actually does.
Right.
I think what happened, one of your callers in a little bit more abrasive way sort of hinted at it, that, Miami, South Florida, has very much become a primarily Cuban community. And it'll be interesting to see if there is any action behind, the whole I love my country and I would go back there. I just can't. Okay, well, if you can, then will you bring infrastructure back there, or will you continue to live here?
Are you referring to our previous caller who spoke of a bunch of toothless old Cuban exiles playing dominoes that might be talking? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not going to be abrasive and disrespectful in that regard. But there's certainly, when there was an influx of Cuban immigrants into Miami around the Mariel boat lift, and about that time, there was a lot of resentment, I think, from people. It was like people who came to the United States speaking English and making the attempt to speak English. It became a very large part of the community without necessarily integrating into it. And there was a lot of chatter about what would happen if they could go back to Cuba. So it's fascinating. I mean, obviously Miami's changed a lot. For people who don't know, I was born and raised, and I've lived there a couple of times since, and it's a very different community now than it used to be. And not in a bad way. I mean, it's just grown and changed. But there is that undercurrent. And I was listening yesterday. There was a comment from a couple of few relatives of the pilots who were shot down over Cuba a few years ago, and it was a comment about how the Obama administration doesn't take our feelings into consideration, and it did sound very myopic. It was sort of like, obviously there's some discontent if you have a history with the Castro regime or with oppression in Cuba. But this is a larger issue. This isn't just about one particular incident.
You'll be
pick up diplomatic relations with a nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll be shocked to know that noted Canadian Ted Cruz was not supportive. Here he is.
This action today continues a long pattern. It is the latest manifestation of the failures of the Obama-Clinton-Kerry foreign policy. What we've seen for 6 years under this administration is that we've been consistently alienating and abandoning our friends and allies, and at the same time teasing and cuddling our enemies. First it was Russia, then it was Iran, today it's Cuba.
Who do we alienate?
Not exactly certain.
They didn't love FDR there. I mean, I'm waiting for every Democrat ever.
Yeah, it was just one long administration. John Kerry said he's excited to be the first Secretary of State in 60 years to visit Cuba. And he actually likened the thought to those that followed with Vietnam after the Vietnam War. He said it's based on a leap of faith. It's not based on a leap of faith, but a conviction that is the best way to help bring freedom and opportunity to the Cuban people and to promote America's national security's interest in the Americas, including greater regional stability and economic opportunity for American businesses. Which, by the way, Jackie, that's a Republican. Isn't that a free market Republican solution?
Yeah. You would think, yeah. Right. I mean, a lot of people were saying that if you open up Cuba, it's so beautiful. What will happen is there'll be an economic boom, and there'll be a lot of corporations that go in there and try to build it up. I mean, there is some concern too that it would ruin sort of the natural beauty of Cuba.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like a diplomatic failure. It seems like a giant success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why is taking a step towards peace a bad thing? I mean, it seems like if we can globalize. We have a global community now. I mean, that's what we are, right? Because of the internet and the reach of communication, we're a global community. And if we can bring some sort of normalized diplomatic relations and peace between our countries, it seems like a good step to me. I don't see the downside of that.
Yeah, this came after 18 months of secret talks that were encouraged now by Pope Frank. Obama and Raul Castro held a 45-minute telephone conversation to finalize the details Tuesday. The first time the two leaders had spoken directly in more than 50 years. I mean, it really is hard to underestimate what a big deal this is, right? And how this is going to...
Yeah, I mean, I'm Jewish. I was raised Jewish, but I'm Team Pope.
Yeah. Yes.
Team Frank. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this guy.
Yeah. And we got an American back, Alan Gross, the freed Cuban prisoner.
5 isolation notwithstanding, I did not need daily briefings to be cognizant of what are undoubtedly incredible challenges facing our nation and the global community.
And Raul Castro, by the way, let's take a listen. Here he is.
This decision by President Obama deserves the respect and recognition of our people.
By the way, I love Marco Rubio, who was having a hissy fit because Jebby's running, as you know. But committed to doing everything I can to unravel as many of these changes as possible. I mean, this is all this party is running on, right? Unraveling Obamacare, this breakthrough in diplomatic relations.
Yep.
I mean, they're just running on going back, right, to the past.
Marco Rubio doesn't have any new ideas on how to deal with Cuba.
Right.
I feel like we're in a relationship with them, and they're like going back to old fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you can't ever get past it.
Yeah. See, I said even women, like, we're good at the silent treatment, but after 50 years, wouldn't you forget what you were even mad about in the first place? It's like, all right, let's just talk. I don't remember what it was now, you said.
No, I mean, the Republican agenda is just to hate everything the president does, no matter what. It's so frustrating. Enough already.
Yeah.
And, I saw a great tweet that came out, or actually it was a Facebook post, and it was from Rude Pundit. And he said, all your marches don't mean anything if you don't march to the polls and vote.
Yeah.
It's totally true. It's like, people are angry and frustrated, and they talk about the stalemate in Washington and not getting anything done. What the president does is met with, anger and rejection. Well, you got to get out and vote. I mean, obviously the midterms have passed now, but get out next time and vote, because if you don't do that, then nothing's ever going to change. You can't say it doesn't make a difference if you're not doing anything.
Yeah. It will also not surprise you that Lindsey Graham had the vapors over this. He said normalizing relations with Cuba is a bad idea to buy.
Oh, my stars.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled out the fading down.
Yes. Well, it's always out. He just,
Get the smelling salts for Lindsay.
All right.
So true.
Dave in Minneapolis, you're on.
He is.
Hello, Dave in Minneapolis. You're on with Jackie.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Don't you think it's kind of strange and unsettling and unhealthy that individuals like Rubio and Lady Lindsey Graham get so worked up and need an enemy so badly? They need someone always to push back against. They need somebody who is other than they are.
Right.
And you see it not just on this international level now with this thing with Cuba, but the disenfranchising of everybody who isn't like them. They don't know how to approach something from a positive developmental kind of perspective, but always again them.
Yeah.
That is so. It's so demeaning of. I think not only of the people that they're against, but of ourselves. I mean, aren't we capable of more than just identifying one more enemy that we have to hate? It's horrible. It's really bad. And Chris,
hi,
and Timmy and Travis, I want you all to be nicer to Mama now in the new year.
Yes,
promise me. Otherwise, remember, I know where you work.
This is true.
I'm sure they'll get right on that, Dave. Thank you for your kind and yet useless thoughts.
Thank you. Most of mine are. So
yeah.
All right. Yeah, Jackie, you talk a lot about Medicare and all that. This show has become just elder abuse. It's just 3 hours of televised elder abuse.
Do you have sores? Do you have
I have bed sores. Yes.
They haven't turned you over.
Yeah, because we forgot to turn you over.
Right.
If she gets drunk, she passes out. You got to rotate her every once in a while.
They don't change my bath water when I have an accident. It really is. It's horrible, Jackie. Oh, I have a personal question because why are insurance companies ask people? So we had to switch insurance companies for our health care here at Stephinaie Miller International and Sons. And our new insurance sucks, in my opinion. No, but they won't cover, when you have like Medicaid, like they don't cover my Prevacid or Lunesta. What's the deal? What happens?
They don't cover your prescription.
They won't cover it. Yeah.
Will they only cover a generic, or they could?
Did you try generics?
No, they won't cover it at all. It was another example of why they're bastard people.
That seems very strange. They're not. Do they say why they won't cover it?
I don't. I haven't. I have to get. That'll be nothing. Something else to do today is get on the phone with the insurance company, which is always a pleasure.
Yeah, that's a good 8 hours of your day, right?
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
Good luck with that.
Exactly. I don't know.
I will say I'm hearing a lot of this, and I will tell people that I'm sort of working on a project. I don't want to put anything out there until we've got it underway. But I'm working on a project to try to get some of these questions answered. That we never have enough time to get to all of them, and people send me notes on Facebook and Twitter asking questions about their health care and health insurance.
Right.
So, I would encourage you to keep those questions coming. And specifically, if you have any for, like, Wendell Potter, say, the insurance company whistleblower, send those to me. Because I'm going to try and see if I can help. And that's what we're working on, is to get those questions like you have answered.
Yeah.
Because people come to me all the time and say, my doctor's not included, or, they're not covering this prescription, or is my mammogram supposed to be free of charge, things like that.
I do have an answer. That's not a generic. They okayed another medication, but I tried it. It doesn't work as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I haven't dealt with this yet, where you go, well, that medicine doesn't work as well.
The office is going to have to get involved, and they're going to have to call the insurance company, and they're going to have to get an override.
And make an exception, yeah.
Yeah. And they do this intentionally.
Right, and I've never heard of, Lunesta is obviously a sleep medicine. I've never heard of, like, they didn't come back and say, oh, but you can have another one or something. I'm just going, you don't cover any sleep medication? Like, everything that you've been talking about, of how sort of precious the insurance companies can be, and it has nothing to do with Obamacare.
Yeah, well,